Welcome to the Fertility Mind podcast. I am your host, Jessica Friesen, a certified fertility mindset coach, a sound healer, and an international best-selling author. My mission for this podcast is to give you weekly episodes where you hear my own success with IVF and how mindset and manifestation changed it all for me. You will also hear from my guests who share their success stories in the fertility world. I want you to know that you are not alone. Even when things feel tough and when things feel like they aren't going your way, the tools and techniques you will get in this podcast, I know can change everything for you too. So thanks for being here with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. Today's episode is all about emotional impacts. And I will ask for your grace. I am getting over a head cold, so my voice is a bit nasally and raspy, so my apologies. But I will share this with you. I could not sleep last night because I had this massive calling, this feeling in my body that I needed to get this episode out. And I knew that today's schedule, after my morning reading group, was to edit episode 6, which was habits. And I thought, no, I need to do this. And I'm going to share a little story with you after, but I want to dive in and I want to ask you 3 questions. So question 1, do you believe you've experienced emotional impacts, big or small? And I know so many of you right now are going to be like, yes, Jessica, I'm on my fertility journey. It's a massive emotional impact. Yes, we'll go into that in a minute, but I want you to think about it and I want you to jot down emotional impacts that you've experienced. If you want, go as deep as you want. Keep asking yourself questions. But the point is, ask yourself this question and jot down a few emotional impacts that you've gone through. And then question 2 is, I want you to really think, how have these emotional impacts that you've just wrote down shaped you, defined you, or maybe they're still so intertwined in how you show up every day, how you make your decisions, how you feel, and you're not necessarily aware of it. And then number 3, I want to ask you the question, do you believe that you could rewrite or bless and release these emotional impacts because they're not serving you? And it's okay to write, yes, but I don't have time. These are awarenesses, guys. Be so honest with yourself. This is getting raw and real with yourself, saying, yes, I realize that, I could do this if I wanted to, but I don't have time. I'm busy. Or you can say, yes, I'm excited. I am so in need of understanding where these patterns are, these habits, these emotional impacts are, so I can get them out, so I can start living the life I want. Be raw and real with yourself, guys. This is the point. Be raw and real with yourself. So now, story time. I just shared with you I couldn't sleep last night, that I had to get this episode out. And guys, I don't believe in coincidences. So this morning when we were in my reading group, the topic of emotional impacts came up. And I thought, oh my gosh, the universe did not want me to sleep last night and knew that I had to get this episode out. And then in my reading group, one of the women was sharing an article that she just read about emotional impacts, how a woman at a very young age, a school age boy, 2 little boys were beside her and said something to her. And they called her names. And 30 years later, those words were still playing in the back of her mind continuously. And she had to work on 30 years of undoing those words, hearing those words, because it was such an emotional impact on her. So emotional impacts can really show up in a big way, like your fertility journey. And it can show up in small things over and over. And it can also show up in one small thing in a very big way that has carried you through your life. So, guys, I have shared with you in season 1 in the Bless and Release episode, how I uncovered my unworthiness feeling. And I did that. I'm going to give you a real quick Cole's Note version by asking myself very similar questions to what I just asked you at the beginning. And I started writing down emotional impacts from my current one that I was experiencing, my fertility journey, to other things. And I started going in every area of my life, like where are emotional impacts that I might have felt here and there. And then I did the bird's eye view and I looked at the commonality between all of them and I went, holy F, unworthiness was in every single one of them. And I was not conscious to it, guys. I did not know that's how I was showing up every day. This quiet, shy, people pleaser version of me would have never thought that I felt unworthy. I knew how I felt, but I didn't always know why I felt that way. And when I uncovered it, it was like this massive light bulb of, I get to change this. Thank the universe for this. Because now I know, now that I'm aware, you can't unknow what you know. And I went to work. I want you guys to do the same. I want you to understand how your emotional impacts are showing up for you every single day. I can give you all of these examples of simple little things that were said to me in my childhood, but how I interpreted them and how it kept showing up over and over and over again in multiple different ways left me with this emotional impact. Guys, I know that I was incredibly loved as a kid. And yes, I grew up without money. And family members and people around me had more money. So, yeah, a curious kid would ask questions like, why do they get to go here and we don't? This is not a matter of feeling loved by my parents, but I've said this in many episodes now. What we label in our mind, our subconscious mind goes to work to start to show you in every area of your life. So a small emotional impact for me started showing up in all different areas of my life over and over and over again. And I kept feeling like, why? And as I got older, I started using the words like, am I not good enough for this? And this is how I started uncovering it. And I know each and every one of you guys on a fertility journey, my God, it changes you. And I want you to start to think about how it's changed you and then flip the perspective of it. When I first found myself in a fertility journey, I thought I was worthless. I thought so many things. And I flipped my perspective. I blessed and released my emotional impacts. I really blessed and released my emotional impacts because I started saying to myself, I've learned my strength. I've learned that these doctors are on my side, helping me do something that I may not be able to do on my own. I have abilities that everyone else does, but I also have a choice to use my superpowers. Instead of being vulnerable as a bad thing, my God, me being vulnerable, I'm sharing with the world how you can change. Some people really can't talk about their fertility journey. Some people are so closed off about it, and that's okay. But I don't feel bad about being vulnerable. Some people struggle in that area. That's an area that I know a lot of people say, I wish I could be so vulnerable. I don't like to share my feelings. I'm very closed off with my feelings. My feelings are intimate. They're mine. They're no one else's business. So I've turned vulnerability into a superpower for me instead of a weakness. I learned my utmost strength on my fertility journey. I learned my self-worth. I learned so much about myself. So as much as my fertility journey was hell, as much as I spent days, weeks, months, years crying, I feel like the tears I cried, I could have made an ocean. But I flipped each and every one of those emotional impacts and I found the light in every area. I want you to start to think about your emotional impacts because when you start to know how they've affected you or how they are still affecting you, you can find a way to let them go. And you can start to see where your habits lie, which will now be episode 7. I want you to understand absolutely how these emotional impacts have changed you, how they're shaping you or have shaped you. And is there anything kind of your secret self going on under the surface that you're not aware of? How are you labeling yourself? How are you showing up? How are you feeling? These are all beautiful awarenesses. Don't look at these things as overwhelming of I'm already going through so much emotional stuff. Why do I want to dredge up stuff from the past? Why do I want to dredge up these feelings? I'm going through so much. These beautiful awarenesses will lead to so much change within you. These beautiful awarenesses will change you. Because, like I said, once you know something, you can't undo knowing it. You can have a choice to do nothing about it, but you will always know once you uncover that. When I really uncovered my feeling of unworthiness, every time situations or circumstances or contrast showed up, I felt that immediately and I went, I'm not worthy is not acceptable anymore. I am worthy. And what would a worthy person do? I made those choices because I knew every moment that I lived in the negative, every moment I lived in my circumstances was another moment that I'm creating my tomorrow. And I wanted my tomorrow to be brighter. I wanted my tomorrow to be happier. I wanted my tomorrow to be so different. So if I lived in my circumstances, one more day was another day that I would have to go through it again. So what if I could start saying, what would a worthy person do? What would a person who is confident? What would a person who was happy? What would a person do if they weren't grieving, if they weren't this, if they weren't that? How would you want to show up? Take time and think about that, guys. I'm sharing this with you because I want you to get thinking. With my clients, I go far deeper into all of these topics. But my goal, like I've shared with you for 2024, is experience. And I want you guys to start experiencing things now. I want you guys to take things away from every episode. So if I never get a chance to work with you and this is all that you get, this is still something that's incredible and you will experience an impact from this. If you want more, please reach out. Please contact me. I am here. But I'm sharing these things with you because I really want you to understand. I used to hear people say, if I can, you can. And I thought, well, no, you have something special. Or I would start comparing the journey. But then I started really listening to those words, and thinking, well, if they can, why can't I? Why can't I? And I would say, what is something special that they have that I don't? And I'd say, oh, well, maybe they don't have a blended family. They don't have as many extracurriculars, or maybe they don't have this or they don't have that. And I thought, we're all human. If they can, why can't I? Why am I putting this person or these people on a pedestal and saying that they have something different than me? What if I have the ability to create all of these things? Why can't I? Those were magical words for me. Why can't I? So I want you to really think about these things. Think about how these emotional impacts are taking over you. How are these emotional impacts defining you? How did they shape your childhood? How did they shape your teens? How are they still shaping your adult years? Are you still carrying something from the past that maybe your parents, a sibling, a kid at school said to you, and you still carry that with you? How are you carrying that with you? And how can you let that go? How can you flip that perspective? Once you understand this, then you get to understand your habits and how you're showing up in your habits every day. And then you also get to understand your choice. I want you guys to really think about this. I am sending you so much love. I get emotional when I think about how many people are going through a fertility journey. My heart breaks and I think, why? Why do we have to go through this? And then I stopped myself and said, it's not for me to understand why they have to go through this, but this is my passion and this is my mission to help you understand how much power you hold within you and how much you can take control back in a way of surrender to allow the universe to guide you. And to understand that our conditionings, our environment, and all of our things have led us here today, but the universe has guided you to be here with me. The universe has guided you to listen to this, to inspire you. So please journal today. Journal every day for for 2 days, for 3 days, for a week, for a month. This is a really important one to understand your emotional impacts. It goes back to getting raw and real. It goes back to getting clarity in your mind. It goes back to how you can start creating a new vision for yourself. And it also goes back that you can even feel gratitude that you got to hear this episode, and gratitude that you now have awareness for something that you get to change, that you get to take control of, that you get to start living for you. So I am sending you so much love and so much light. And I'm here for you. And I'm proud of you. I love you. I want to express my deepest gratitude for you tuning in with me today. I am proud of you, and I am sending you so much love. I want you to remember that you hold incredible strength and power within you. If this episode resonated with you, or you know anyone that would benefit from hearing, please share. And if you haven't done so already, head over to Spotify or Apple, and please leave a rating and a review. In love and light, Jessica.